to our next lesson on Magnus Carlsen and his play with the pieces. This is Jan Gustafsson, and I'm sitting next to Mr. Artur Jussupov, who once again will give us some insights into the world of Magnus Carlsen's brain. So Artur, I can see you chose a strange title for this very lesson. Can you tell us what this is going to be about?
Yes, a little bit specific title. The lesson called Pendulum, and it refers to pendulum clock and some special maneuver. We were talking about flexibility of Magnus Carlsen, that sometimes he is able to correct his decisions, or simply situation changed, and now the piece which was good maybe a couple of moves ago should be transferred to another position. So to regroup already a good positioned piece, that is something which requires also the big flexibility. And actually we saw the maneuver already in one of the previous lectures in a game against Agderstein. I referring to the move rook e1, and then knight went to e5, and then rook from e1 went back to f1. So that's what I call pendulum, and that's we will see in the next game to a very interesting degree. The next game Magnus Carlsen played against Michael Adams. Again, we wouldn't talk maybe too much about the opening.
No, I'm still stuck at pendulum. It's this grandfather clock that goes back and forth. Yes,
yes,
we're using the term
yes,
for a chess piece that goes
yes,
somewhere and then it goes back. Okay, let's see. So once again, you choose poor Michael Adams, my teammate, as a victim of Carlsen.
Well, he's fantastic player, and it's actually I think in my time I was also a good victim of Karpov and Kasparov, because I was able to offer a very good resistance and to force them to play a really beautiful, brilliant chess. So probably Michael Adams also forcing, because he's extremely strong, extremely good player, very tough player to beat. He forcing Carlsen to do some extraordinary things.
No, it's often forgotten if we see some brilliant games that you can only be brilliant, or you're only forced to being brilliant if your opponent actually makes you do it. So once again we have the Nimzo Indian.
And another variation, now classical Nimzo Indian, another variation, c5. We were mentioning this move, knight e4 and c5 also.
Right.
We were mentioning it earlier. I must honestly confess that I don't know these variations
I know a little bit, but this is not an opening survey anyway, so we'll just skip through it.
So far White now tries to finish his development. He pick up a pawn, but Black obviously has a very strong counterplay. And
it's a very sharp line for the opening geeks among us. Instead of queen a5 check, I believe queen f6 is a very interesting move here, which also leads to
very sharp play. But what happened here is remarkable. I think this positional exchange sacrifice, I don't know exactly if it was invention of Kasimdzhanov, but he played a lot in this line.
I also remember a game, Kasimdzhanov against Karpov, I believe. I'm not sure it was the first game, but I believe he brought it into the limelight.
To the praxis, yes. And it looks a little bit strange, but we will explain it maybe a couple of moves later, because now it is more or less logical sequences of the moves. And Black is forcing now exchange of the queens.
I'm still trying to count the pieces, so White is an exchange down. At the moment he doesn't even have a single pawn for it.
Yes, that is unusual, yeah, because normal compensation is if you have a pawn and some positional compensation. Yes. Here there is no material compensation in pawns, but there is a lot of positional compensation in this situation. White has, for example, two bishops, which is already, I don't know how much it attributes, maybe half a pawn worth, but
I never know these calculations, but
that doesn't make so much sense actually. How it's impossible to calculate, but it is some compensation. Another factor is much better pawn structure. The pawn d5 is obviously isolated and weak.
Yes.
So this is another positional compensation. To this factor we can also add that white has excellent positions for his pieces. I'm sorry.
And also one thing is clear that black would rather have castle instead of having his king on f8 and the rook on h8. Actually, I'm sorry for Arthur being sick because we're in very, very cold Hamburg where the abrupt weather change got to us. Anyway, back to the position. Yeah, and clearly, like I was pointing out, the black pieces aren't very well coordinated. They seem a bit all over the place. The knight on g5, the bishop on a4, king on f8 blocks the rook on h8.
What is important to mention, what I tried to tell you before my cold took hold on me. What is important to understand here that the side who some material disadvantage, in this case white has a quality less. He should have a very secure position for the piece. Sorry.
Take a break. Okay.
It didn't stop, I think.
No, it's still going on.
Okay. They should have excellent positions secure positions for the pieces. And here white has an excellent position for the knight, for example, d4. Also safe position for the other pieces. The problem for black in the moment that black doesn't have an open line, so he cannot play his cards or his strong pieces. Really, he cannot bring them in action as well as strong as he would like to do it. We continue to look at the game, and now knight from e2 goes to the square d4, which is something very natural. And above mentioned the game of Kasimdzhanov went a little bit different. Kasimdzhanov played king d2, and somehow he also had enough compensation. The game Kasimdzhanov-Karpov ended in a draw after some other maneuvering. We're coming back to the move of Carlsen, which is extremely natural. Knight goes to d4, maybe later to a5. So black has to worry about this diagonal, about this possibility. Already here it would be possible for black to operate differently. Maybe the move knight e6 would be a better choice here. If knight f5 then f6. But in any case, white has a very decent compensation here for exchange. In the game, black played bishop d7, white played king f2. He is not interested in changing some pieces because it would definitely a move like knight f5 would make black play easier.
Yeah, also on paper the black bishop is not very good, the d7 bishop, so why exchange it for that beautiful knight at this point in time? Right?
Yes.
So he just kept
So
developing.
white just put king on f2, black played f6,
Normal move as well.
paying some respect to the bishop b2.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out where white should strike. He could try to gain space on the king side with something like h4, g4 to reopen that bishop on b2 with g5 one day.
The problem with attack on the king side, we push the black knight maybe to the better square.
Right.
Maybe he goes knight f7 and then to e5, towards e5. So probably for this reason, white improves the position on the queen side. And actually in the moment, or at some situation, b4, b5 could be an issue. So
Yeah, already now.
Yeah.
Black has to think about b5 and c6.
So that's why probably king e7 is necessary to connect the rooks. And now there is a small problem maybe for our viewers to think a little bit how would you play instead of Magnus Carlsen. What would you do in this position?
how much time do we give the viewers for this one?
Maybe
This is
maybe
strategic
five
thing,
five
so
minutes.
5
5
right?
minutes. It's kind of normal situation in the game, and it's not a dramatic improvement of white's position, but small improvement of it.
I have an idea. So magically, here we are 5 minutes later. And what did Magnus do?
Yes, he played bishop c2. This is very natural move. White bring his bishop to b3 to attack pawn d5. Very logical improvement of white's position, because bishop on d3 was nice, but it was not doing too much.
Yeah, fair enough. And also the d5 pawn is the most obvious target in the black position.
I would compare maybe this move with the move h4, which now is less logical, because white already moved the rook. Knight f7, and maybe some operation like e4, knight e5. It's a very unclear situation.
Yeah.
Coming back to bishop c2 doesn't look right to us. Yeah? Black played rook hd8. Probably the better move, in retrospect, better move would be g6.
Oof.
But it's tough.
Tough move to make.
Tough move.
Making that f6
Yes,
pawn,
yes.
I wouldn't do it
Yes,
deliberately.
yes. It's but it's to be able then to play knight e6.
Not allowing knight f5. Okay.
So
He
black
went
played rook
d8.
h to d8.
Normal as well.
White played h4.
Oh no, he goes h4. Ah, actually, it's just blundering a pawn. This rook d8. That's the problem.
Not exactly. Not exactly. I'm sure that Adams saw what is going on. Now he plays knight f7. White took the pawn. In a way, this is like already like some pendulum. Bishop went to c2, but then all of a sudden he took on h7. Not
He pretended he was going to b3, but he wanted to grab that pawn.
yes, in reality. Rook h8, and now he comes back.
Ah, so black does get the pawn back. It's
It
still-
is only an exchange operation, so it's nothing dramatic happened. Only we exchange the pieces. But black rook on d8 was ready to protect d5. Now actually rook is less suitable for this
Stable,
task.
yeah.
Less stable. Bishop b3 happened.
b3.
Rook h5. Slightly more precise was here knight e5 to attack square d3 and maybe to force rook d1.
Why can't I take? Might be a bit off topic. I'm just curious.
Because knight d3 check.
King g3.
Oh, that I missed this tactic. Just a second. We can probably look at the
Just
board.
make the moves. I'm not sure.
to see.
Maybe I'm not making.
Yes, bishop takes d5. I thought knight d3 is a strong move, but here you said king goes to g3. But
rook
maybe
H-
rook h5.
Well, it gets complicated. Bishop takes b7. I'm not sure.
Yes,
what's going on.
but the complications could be dangerous, because rook h8 check.
Get checkmated.
Yeah, and checkmated.
Or
I am sure that
okay.
Carlsen analyzed this line in detail, and yeah, it looks like black has at least something to tell about this position. Yes,
Well, b2 is still under attack, so yeah. it does
under
work.
attack. Yeah, and maybe the line could be even improved from black's
Yeah.
perspective.
Okay.
So this is kind of interesting detail, but nevertheless, knight e5 immediately starting some counterplay was probably a better operation. Black played too passively in this moment, rook h5. I think it was difficult, just difficult to believe that black could be worse here. Yeah,
Well, still a whole exchange. I mean, the white
Yes.
position and the pieces do look very nice, but it's kind of hard to believe he could be better. I mean,
Exactly. That black would have problems here. Okay, I am sure that Adams realized that white compensation is pretty good, but that it is so much, or it will be so dangerous for him, he couldn't believe it. And this is actually another interesting moment in the game where we have to find a maneuver for white. So please take your time.
this one, I have a pretty clear idea.
The move of Carlsen is perfectly logical here.
Yeah, we have to attack that d5 pawn knight e2, right?
92. Yeah. Coming back, this pendulum of the knight, we put it knight on d4. It was good position, but not for all times. Yeah? So now he looks situation changed, and he is ready, of course, to make an even better regrouping.
The funny thing is, in that Kazimchanov game, which he showed briefly earlier, Kazimchanov made the reverse pendulum, I think. Yeah, he went back to f4 and then he went back to e2 into f4, d4.
That is possible. Yes, maybe you're never satisfied with your positions of your pieces. Yeah, you want to be better. Yeah?
Knights are flexible. It makes sense to regroup.
Yes.
Anyway, it's also exploiting the position of the rook on h5, of course. Now knight f4 comes with tempo.
Exactly, and I don't know where it could be important. Also, g6 square is now weak, but black played bishop c6, knight f4 coming. So now black put the rook on rather exotic position on g5. So this is some problem. The move of white, well, it's hardly a difficult task for us. Yeah, it's very easy move. Yeah.
Let's see. I keep being stunned that this rook actually looks inferior than a knight now. No, it's kind of dominated by the knight on f4.
Yes, the knight is fantastic. Knight is fantastic on f4.
Okay, let's proceed. He played b5, right?
Excellent, of course, attacking move. And in the games of Carlsen, somehow everything comes together. Yeah. So rook a1 also paid off. Bishop takes b5, forced move. Knight takes d5. And now the position is already very unpleasant. It's so easy for black to lose the game immediately. For example, if he plays like king d8, knight b6, wins the material, hitting rook and knight f7.
Double attack.
Double attack. So maybe black should already say, "Oh, I am worse and I am giving exchange," but very difficult solution.
Concession, because also this position, black clearly is worse. I mean, now it's kind of accepting that you're worse, right? I mean,
accepting that you are worse, maybe a little bit, but you are worse. So this is already a difficult decision.
Another sneaky move, bishop a3.
Yeah, could be played. I think this was analyzed by Grandmaster Vtachnik. This variation was his suggestion for black how to defend. So black played here king f8 to keep protecting the knight on f7.
Ah, but knight c7 has some tricks.
Knight c7 is coming. So black is actually losing exchange anyway.
Exchange
yes. Or white is winning exchange. Rook d8 to make it even more pleasant for white, maybe to play knight to e6. Now strange move from Adams. Why didn't he play king e7? It's very unclear. Yeah. It was more logical move. He played, for some reasons, he played king e8, which looks like a loss of tempo actually.
Yeah, strange. So now since the knight is forking both of the rooks, white doesn't even have to take immediately, does it?
That's the whole point. First, white can improve his position. The technical abilities of Carlsen, we will see in this game as well as in some other games. They're superb. So he never loses the opportunity to improve his position before changing the situation. So rooks are not running away. Bishop d7, and now he takes the rook on d8. Knight takes d8. Now activating the rook. If you want, it's also pendulum, but of course it's a kind of obvious maneuver. And now black admits his mistake, but the damage is already.
Yeah, this already looks like we're gonna get a master class on the topic of the two bishops.
Yes, the game continues, and it will be another very interesting moment soon. White improves the position with move rook h7. It's not the only move. It was also possible to play like bishop d5, for example. Because now all of a sudden black rook.
This might win the rook, yeah?
Winning exchange, yeah. But already black is ready to sacrifice exchange, hoping to get some some kind of compensation in this position. So
Like this, yeah. I thought even rook takes d5, maybe.
yes, also
Okay,
possible. Another option. So one of these variations offers some hopes, but of course it's so difficult to defend against Magnus Carlsen such a positions, almost like a hopeless task.
Anyway, he went rook h7.
Yes, he is not in hurry. He is not in hurry to win the exchange. Black plays king f8. And now bishop c2 prepares the move f4. Again, pendulum if you like, bishop comes back, but okay, this of course it's normal for the chess game. And I'm not sure if it makes so much sense to actually to separate this element, but I simply like it. So it's
like
so
the word
fascinating.
pendulum. I think that's what this
That's the what it's about. Yes, I learned a new word and I tried to use it. Bishop c6 was played. If knight takes c5, then white plays f4, knight takes c4, king f3. Attacks now everything, and white is winning here.
Piece.
Winning a piece, and I hope also winning again. So black played bishop c6, f4, and now small mistake. Again, as Grandmaster technique correctly pointed out, better was to take with rook. But this position is very, very difficult to defend. Very difficult to defend. Maybe g4 as suggested by Grandmaster. So black took with bishop, and if it was actually move 40, so maybe Adams was slightly short of time. And now another excellent maneuver of white. Probably a good task for our viewers.
Okay. I'm still concerned about the fate of this rook on e5 in this game. I mean, after he gave the exchange back, at least he should have gotten rid of that problem rook. He had to give his good rook for the knight, and now he's still stuck with a rook on e5, leading him into trouble again, because it could never find a square.
Yes. So it was maybe easier to sacrifice exchange,
Get rid of it for once.
or as I said, to play maybe king g8 in between move,
Also possible.
and then to sacrifice
take on
it,
e4.
take on e4. So in a way, bishop takes e4 is also sacrificing exchange, but Carlsen finds the way to postpone taking on e5.
What's the solution? Rook h8 check?
Rook h8 check is a solution. Just a check. And another beautiful intermediate move, rook b8. That is something. That's of course extremely easy to overlook such an intermediate move. Actually, rook is not running away from e5. The point is, if white would take immediately, then black can take the bishop, and after this, if you attack, let's say, attack the pawn, then black can protect it, bishop e4. So this is a kind of ideal position what black can achieve. Of course, white still has a huge advantage here, but maybe black can defend. After the move of intermediate move, the game is basically over, because b7 pawn is falling. But Carlsen has to find another nice detail. So knight d8. Knight d8 was played
Pretty, but you gotta keep the pawn.
to keep the pawn somehow alive, but it is temporary. This is another small problem for our viewers. This is indeed the pendulum maneuver. Yeah?
No, that's another pendulum.
At the pure form. So maybe 5 minutes to think, and I hope you did it already. And now the solution is very nice. Bishop d4 was played. The threat is obvious. Bishop takes f6. So black was forced to answer f5, and now a very beautiful move, which is not easy maybe to see if you don't know this pendulum idea. This bishop back to e3 threatens bishop g5, and so white wins the pawn on b7. Black loses this vital pawn on g7, which leads to a huge advantage for white, because white gets a passed pawn, and practically game is over.
really unfair. Adams was suffering an exchange up earlier in the game, and now he's suffering even worse.
Exchange down. Even worse, yes, in even worse situation. Maybe I just give another line, because here white could exchange the pieces, which is a kind of standard approach in such position. But in this particular situation, black bishop could protect b7, so I am not sure. It is not easy. Maybe it's not.
One would have to analyze in detail if it's winning or not, but at least black is stable for the moment.
Black has a stable position, and pawn c5 could be weakened. A pawn could be maybe pushed a little bit forwards after bishop c6. So this is unclear. We're coming back to this beautiful move bishop e3, and I show you simply the rest of the game. Black played here king d7. Yes, bishop g5. Now he is giving up the pawn. King c8, if king c6, and check. And I think the easiest solution would be bishop e7.
Knight takes c5. There is some trick.
We probably just take. Maybe there is a trick, but I would go for the.
No, just take and take on a6.
Yes,
That's an easy win. Yeah.
Easy winning position.
So king c8.
King c8 was played in the game.
Double attack, so we need some precise move. Rook b2,
Rook b2,
counter-attack.
bishop e4. But now the game basically over.
Okay, but this
Bishop e3, f4, so bishop e7 is the best defense. Knight f4, rook a2. Still the perfect technique of white. If king b7 and g3 consolidates the position. The black played king d7, bishop d6, took on g2, white took on e6. Here black pieces are so poorly coordinated that the game would be over surprisingly quickly. Actually, that's the only surprise. Rook a4 attacks the bishop, bishop c6, and now white gave a check. King e6, rook a6. If king goes back, then rook takes c6, or otherwise another pawn would be lost, so black resigned here.
Yeah.
So very nice, very beautiful, very instructive game. But we come to some other positions.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any abstract rules about this pendulum thing. It's like you mentioned before, it's mental flexibility, yeah, that one shouldn't forget, okay, I just went there, but I can go back if the situation warrants.
Yes. Situation changes, opponent maybe plays something different, so now we have to keep open mind and to see what is the best now in this particular position. It doesn't matter what we played two moves early if situation changed on the board. So this is another beautiful example of a game of Magnus Carlsen. He starts with an excellent attacking move. Maybe another task for our viewers. But
viewers.
And here is the solution. White played queen a1. Beautiful attacking move, puts the pressure on g7. Black cannot castle because white bishop is fantastically put on a3. At the same time, queen a1 is kind of a multi-purpose move. Not only attacks g7, but also doubles on a line, which could be of very big importance if black tries to castle long side.
I'm always worried about putting my queen in the corner in situations like that, because sometimes it feels like you're reducing it to being a bishop. Yeah? But here, since we have this A-line action as well, it does work both ways.
It's interesting coordination. Yeah? Queen is really very good positioned in the moment.
Actually, this position looks even better than the one we saw in the last game, where he was in exchange down, and here, as far as I can see, white is not even in exchange down, it's just one pawn. Yeah?
One pawn is sacrificed, but excellent compensation for this. So black played queen c7, nobody would blame him for doing it. If f6, then bishop position on e6 is weakened, and here white can develop fantastic attack with a threat knight g5. Looks horrible. Looks horrible for black.
Looks just winning actually on these pieces. It's too much. So
Black
he's
played
trying
queen
to
c7.
castle to the queen side.
Castling to the queen side. So white could already pick up the pawn back, to take the pawn on g7, but then black probably able to castle long. White is better, but some possibilities of counterplay.
You never know. With his g file, at least the black pieces make some sense all of a sudden.
Yes, yes. So Carlsen wants to keep initiative. b4. If short
Black
castle,
use it, yeah, I was going to say that.
yeah,
He used it.
that's a possibility. But still, even transferring the king on the king side, it's not end of the dangers, because white rook from a4 can come to h4. Queen is already working from distance, so there is a huge possibilities of attack anyway. For some reasons, Nikolic, who played with black here, he feels that this diagonal should be neutralized, and he played f6. It's actually a mistake. Leads to a loss of the game, but it is easy. The tactical point, it's so easy to miss that I cannot blame my team comrade from Zolendin by missing this hidden tactical point. I played rook e1. King f7, that was an idea of black.
I don't like that whole operation. I agree that castles looks very dangerous, but I think he should have seized the chance and
probably
you get mated there. It's better than getting mated in the center.
I am not sure. Matter of taste, yes, where to be mated. But b5 was played, knight a5. So far so good, but now it comes a beautiful move, which probably would be easy for our viewers because of the theme.
Topic, it's going to be very simple, but else it's not that easy. Yeah?
No, not that easy in reality, because this is a move of real beauty. White now played queen d1. What a move. Queen on e1 fulfilled his tasks. He weakened, forced black to weaken the position, and now he comes to attack. And the tactical idea, we will see it in the game. There is no defense anymore, actually. So we don't maybe skip some unnecessary variation. You can always check it in the material later, but just see what happened. Rook e8, and now the tactical point which justifies the whole operation is this knight g5.
So the idea of queen d1 was, of course, not just go to d1, but already looking into
h5, to come to h5 and to deliver this terrible blow, or to come to f3 first, like it happened in the game. And now, small tactical point: if rook takes e6, then queen f8 checkmate. Black position obviously is collapsing now, so black.
Actually, I missed queen f8 mate. I forgot about that bishop. Queen takes d5 was his point. I thought, oof, it's not so simple. But queen f8 mate.
Queen f8 mate. Yes. Fantastic attacking game of Carlsen. We move to the next example. Very interesting and also very pleasant game. Starting with this position. It's not a real task, but just look how with each move Carlsen improves his position. Each move makes perfect sense to me, and it goes also in certain harmony. Queen b3, supporting b pawn and creating some battery on the diagonal, which is very unpleasant for black. So now he has to worry about all type of things on the diagonal, a2, g8. He played knight d7, a logical move, trying to block the passed pawn. And now another good move, rook d1. Each move improves the position, as I said. Yeah. So rook d1 creates a new tactical element in the position. Maybe white can play bishop a5 and then take on d7. In some situation, could be dangerous. So black has even more things to worry about. Bishop b7 was played. Now bishop a5 is too early, because we don't have a follow-up here. Black can defend with bishop c8.
Sometimes that's a danger that one is tempted when one sees a nice idea to cash in too early. Yeah? I mean,
yes,
I would be tempted to play with bishop a5, but it's
White still has some resources. For example, we can push H pawn, our favorite resource in the previous lectures. Could be very unpleasant for black.
H4 looks like a move actually.
It's a good move. It's a good move. But Carlsen prefers here more concrete operation. He plays knight H4. Or creates a concrete threat, knight takes G6 and then bishop takes E6. Very dangerous. Well, black defends it somehow, kid H7. But now situation changed. So that was a small improvement for the idea bishop A5. Now bishop A5 is coming. This is another way to coordinate the pieces in attack. But we see this is a little bit more complicated way of coordination. Now we hit not only F7, we hit also some parallel square like G6 and E6, and that creates such a danger in attack.
So knight H4 lured the king to H7, where he had to give up the defense of the F7 pawn.
F7
now
pawn.
it's troubles.
Now and that way knight H4 contributing to previous game.
So black has some resources here, or is it just over?
Well, actually, perhaps black foresee this continuation, and he took on E4, hoping that this brave move would save the game. So this tactical trick: if white takes with knight, then queen E1 check. So we should say that black, it's not very known player, Talaksin, but he found good defensive resources. But here the move of rare beauty, very nice move. We will see the full power. Okay, maybe it's also a good task for our viewers, maybe to think for a couple of minutes. How would you continue in such an interesting position? And Carlsen finds a move, queen D1. Brilliant move, protects the first rank. Now, of course, the main threat, knight takes E4, but also rook takes F7 coming. And queen is on the way to the king side, if necessary, to support the attack. Excellent play. Black position collapses now. No way to hold it.
That's the tough moves to calculate. When one calculates a line like this, bishop A5 and rook takes D7, that's reasonably easy to see because it's concrete, but to anticipate a move like queen D1, it's not
very
so
difficult,
simple.
yes. Easy to miss, let's say, in a practical game. Bishop E8, rook F7. The finish of the game is just pretty. Rook D8. Now, very nice attacking both moves. Still keeping some control over the first rank. It could be very useful. Queen B1.
Cute, yeah.
So again, kind of double attack. E6, knight and pawn G6 is under the attack. Only reasonable move is knight to E4. And now, only piece which was waiting before was not participating at attack, knight G3. Now it comes and delivers a finishing blow. Yeah, excellent attacking move. Everything hangs here. Black took. Of course, now queen takes G6 wins immediately, but the move of Carlsen even more precise. He just took on G7. Black is lost. Actually, I think black resigned here.
It's checkmate on F7.
Yes, it's checkmate on F7 in this line. And
or
if
on H6.
yeah, and if black goes away, okay, we can even force black to take and deliver checkmate on H6. Everything falls. Black resigns. A fantastic game.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And of course, we still have another lecture on positional play, positional understanding of Magnus Carlsen is remarkable. We saw it, but we saw in these games, of course, also his tactical ability, and he sees all these tricks very easily. That's also his natural element.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Artur. So we learned, well, again, about the mental flexibility of Magnus. And most importantly, we learned a new chess term, which I hope will catch on, the pendulum. Thanks everybody for
Thank
watching and listening, and we'll be back. Bye.
This is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for onlinechesslessons.net. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, the 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.